What's up everyone? Welcome back to Let's Play Dark Souls. Last episode, we passed through the fire and came out unscathed. Now I'm just gonna fight this little spear-wielding Silver Knight and talk about something that I kept meaning to get around to talking about in the last episode. I'm gonna talk a little bit about Priscilla's parents. Now, there's no real concrete evidence about who might... Oh, gotta turn this down real quick. There's no real concrete evidence about who Priscilla's parents actually are. Like I was saying, all we know is that she is a half-breed. She was banished to the painted world of Aramis. Ariamis. Man, I'm mixing up my pronunciation of that bad. She was banished there, or she is a willing denizen, possibly. And she's half-dragon, so that does narrow the field of possible parents down just a little bit. Most people think that she is the spawn of Princess Guinevere and Seath. I think that pairing is a little bit silly. It does make a lot of sense that Seath might be her father. I don't know about Guinevere being the mother. Maybe we have to get those two on Moripovich. However, I think it's way more likely that Priscilla might be some kind of experimental test tube baby, Dark Souls gothic fantasy test tube baby of Seath's, because I always like to bring this up. Seath likes to scheme and he likes to experiment. So it's very possible that his experiments could breed some kind of halfling abomination, or abomination as far as the denizens of Lordran go, or are concerned, rather. I'm not racist against those mudbloods, the muggles. Wait, are muggles the things from Final Fantasy? No, or are they moogles? I can't remember. I'm dipping into too much fantasy here, too many different too much cross-pollination of different fantasy settings. I'm gonna talk about something that was in the chest in a moment, but back to Priscilla and her heritage. I've actually always wondered if the undead dragon in the painted world is somehow related to her. Like if that undead dragon is the father or the mother. Couldn't really see any genitalia on it. I wasn't exactly looking too hard. I've always wondered if they are somehow related, because that would certainly explain why we find a dragon there. Then again, it makes just as much sense for a dragon to be there, considering the connection it has to Dark Souls 2 and the area that seems to look exactly like that area in Dark Souls 2. But I've already given my speculation about what that's all about. I believe all the chests in this area, in this little annex room, I'm pretty sure they're all mimics. Yeah, they are. Someone gave a great tip in the comments for figuring out which chest is a mimic, besides just hitting every chest and seeing whether or not they take damage and sprout legs and shit. I don't remember what that tip was. I'll look it up after this episode and then give credit where credit's due in the next episode. I think it had something to do with the lock. Gotta go back over it. Actually, this just occurred to me because I was thinking about the statue in the painted world, and I want to say it was Centrosi who pointed out that that was a statue of Velka, and I wasn't too sure, but thinking back, I'm pretty sure that statue had the same characteristic black hair that Velka had, so given all the other connections in the painted world to Velka, that probably was a statue of her. Yeah, that was most likely Velka depicted in that statue. That's really interesting. Whoa, hold on. What if Velka is Priscilla's mother? Velka is described as a rogue god, and the only other physical trait we know about her is that she is black-haired. The only other thing we know is that she is described in a cut piece of content, the Ring of Condemnation, as being an eccentric witch. Maybe that's why the Painted World, the Crow people, the Crows, the Undead Asylum, and Velka, maybe that's why they're all connected. Maybe because she procreated with a dragon and had an abomination half-breed child, she was considered a rogue god. Maybe that's what cast that status upon her. Maybe that's what made her, that's what made everyone consider her a rogue god, because she produced a half-breed child with a dragon. Oh my god, what if Velka and Ariamis created the Painted World to keep her daughter safe? Oh my god, that actually makes a lot of sense now that I think about it. After all, Priscilla doesn't seem like she's a prisoner so much as she's a willing resident, and over time it became a refuge for other outcasts like her, which is why she refers to it as being a kind of peaceful place, like it's some kind of a haven. Oh, it's possible she doesn't actually know how bad things have gotten in there, and that might have... The reason things might have degraded so much in the Painted World might not only be because it was co-opted by Gwyn as a prison realm, but because of Jeremiah, who I did not get to fight. I'll talk about Jeremiah in just a second, though. Oh. I'm really excited by this theory. Right now, I'm just trying to think of ways that can be disproven, and it's... Nothing really concrete comes to mind. It's not... it's also not like a waterproof theory that has tons of, like, really elaborate evidence to support it. No matter what, it's gonna be speculation. I have to stop getting hit by this guy. Could that be it? Oh, what if Ariamis was the other parent? No. Maybe. Wait a minute. What if Ariamis resided in the place that he based that painting on, and that place was in fact at one point populated by a bunch of dragons like we see in Dark Souls 2? What if Ariamis resided there because he himself was a dragon? That would actually make sense if Velka and Ariamis were the parents and Ariamis was a dragon. That brings up a really weird mental image of a dragon painting, though. One sec, I'm going to talk to Sigmire here.
Whatever can be done. Ah, you again. Let me guess. Were you repelled by the Silver Knights? Ah, don't be ashamed. 'Tis the fate of vanguards like you and I. I'll think of something. We can overcome this together. This is quite a fix. We'll need another 3, no, maybe 5 bodies. Quite a fix indeed. This is quite a... Okay, so it's probably not too likely that Ariamis was a dragon and Priscilla's father and the mate of the consort of Velka. Is it possible Velka was a dragon? No, probably not. There are too many crow connections, and we've likely seen her depicted as a black-haired humanoid figure, not necessarily a human. Yeah, that theory is probably too much of a stretch, but I do really like the idea that Ariamis and Velka might have hooked up and spawned Priscilla, and then they agreed to create the Painted World as a realm to shield Priscilla from the outside world, knowing that she would be scorned as an abomination. I do like that idea. I'm still not convinced that at least Velka might be related to her. What if it's Velka and Seath? Man, there's too much Jerry Springer-esque speculation going on with this one. It's fun, though. I really like the idea. It does kind of conflict with my other theory that Velka guides us to the Painted World so that we can kill Priscilla for her life hunt scythe. But still, I really have to noodle this one out some more. I'm sure I'll spend a lot of time flip-flopping back and forth until Dark Souls 2 comes out, assuming that even clarifies anything at all. By the way, did you guys hear that that there's going to be a PS3 exclusive beta for Dark Souls 2? I don't think registration is opened up yet,
when it does, though, I will let you guys know. I'll give you a heads up. Hopefully I get into that beta, because I would love to get some hands-on time before the release, given that I haven't gotten to check it out at any cons yet. It was, well, any cons. I was only at PAX East this year. And PAX East next year is probably the earliest one I'm going to be at, and it will already be out by that time. If I do get my hands on a beta key for that, though, you can definitely count on me putting some videos up, unless there's an NDA, which is also possible. Who knows? Anyway, pay attention to the heads mounted on the walls here. Those are genuine dragon heads mounted on the walls. And we are going to meet the person responsible for those heads being here in just a moment. Not the actual person who mounted them on the wall, but the person who cut them off. Just as soon as Mr. Silver Knight here stops being such a pain in the ass, I would spend less time on this guy and just, like, get it out of the way and parry him, but I don't usually like to parry spear-wielding enemies. I have a tougher time parrying them. Here, you can go right downstairs. This will open up a shortcut for us later, and it'll also give us access to these two chests, which I think house the Silver Knight gear. Unless I already got that, I wasn't paying attention. I know I did get Hovel's gear, though, and there was something special in Hovel's room amidst amidst Hot Pocket's stash. Oh, old Hot Pocket Hovel really fed his gluttony with ham and cheese goodness. Amidst Hovel's stash was an occult club, and this is a theory that I didn't hear until recently, and I heard it from who else but Epic Name Bro, who I've referenced in the past as being a repository of knowledge on the Souls games, especially Dark Souls, especially Dark Souls. The man is incredibly knowledgeable. I love watching his videos and just learning from him. Man knows a lot about the game, and he is at least as passionate about it as I am, if not more so. Oh god, I really hate that attack. It's such a pain. And the theory that I'm referring to is that Havel was a member of this rebellion, this plot against the gods. And that speculation is primarily based on two things. One, it's the presence of the occult club. I can never figure out quite how to dodge that. I guess I have to dodge roll backwards and hope for the best. It might be a timing issue. If I dodge it when he's coming down, though... No. Yeah, and it's got a little lightning elemental effect to it, too. It's got a much larger shockwave than I anticipated. And sometimes I can block it and it'll just guard break me. Sometimes it'll actually do a lot of damage when I block it, even at full stamina. Anyway, I'm getting a little bit off topic with what I was talking about. The theory is based around the occult club being found amidst Havel's effects. And the occult club, if you remember, is a weapon that is designed to target gods. That's what the occult prefix denotes. And we got 2 Demon Titanite from that one. That's why I, even though it's a pain to fight that Titanite demon in here, that's why I always like to do it. What the occult prefix denotes is that it is a weapon designed to slay gods. Why would Havel have that? Why would Havel have a weapon like that? And then the second piece of evidence lending credence to that theory is that Havel is imprisoned. And according to the basement key, or whichever the key is that allows you to free Havel, he was imprisoned by a dear friend. He was imprisoned, quote-unquote, for his own good, which sounds... According to the key description, the way it's written, it sounds almost sarcastic. So that has fueled speculation that his good friend was Gwyn, and that Havel eventually came to a disagreement with Gwyn and his regime. I personally think it has something to do with Seath and the way that Gwyn favored Seath. We know that Havel had a very deep grudge, a feud going with Seath. I'm thinking that somewhere along the way, Havel decided that maybe because of the amoral nature of Seath's experimentation and how he seemingly is carte blanche from Gwyn to do whatever he wants, no matter how many lines he crosses. Remember, he even bequeathed a piece of his Lord Soul to Seath, not to Havel, though. And we do know that Havel and Gwyn were compatriots on the battlefield. I'm thinking that Havel got fed up and decided to join the rebellion, if not lead it. We don't know who the leader of this rebellion was. To try to plot to kill the gods and overthrow the deities leading the Age of Fire. Primarily Gwyn. That is, according to this theory, why he possesses an occult club amongst his other effects. Also, I don't know if I brought this up before, he was also a bishop in the Way of the White Covenant, which I find kind of interesting. Not quite sure how to tie this into the theory, aside from the fact that it further reinforces how deeply involved and friendly he was with Gwyn at some point. Because remember, Gwyn's uncle, Allfather Lloyd, led that religion, and the entire religion is faithful to the Age of Fire. Now I'm going to talk to the giant blacksmith real quick and do some upgrading now that I've talked about that theory.
Are you forge your weapons? Tis no good, but forge very good. I have any time. Talk, tis no good. No one home, everyone gone. But you, friend, you talk. I no talk, but happy. But you
Okay, that's all you have to say about that. The giant blacksmith is really useful because it's finally at this point in the game that you get to actually forge new weapons using boss souls. Up until now, you can do standard upgrades, reinforcements with Andre the blacksmith, with Rickert of Vinheim, who is the blacksmith imprisoned, I think, below Firelink. You can go to the skeleton blacksmith in the catacombs. You can ascend weapons by giving them embers. You can't forge new weapons without the expertise of this blacksmith. And I've been upgrading this Falchion to +10 so that I can form Quelaag's Fury Sword using her soul. Now I'm going to take care of some other upgrades and then cut ahead. I'll be back in just a moment. Alrighty, I am back. I've done a little bit of reinforcing. The other thing I forgot to point out just now is that the giant blacksmith in Anor Londo now sells, I believe, twinkling titanite, green titanite. I want to say he also sold large titanite. I can't remember what the name of it is. You saw. He used to not sell a few of those things. For one, I don't think he used to sell twinkling titanite, which is what I needed to upgrade the Black Knight sword. He does sell them now, though. That was patched in a while ago. So I now have my Black Knight sword at +5. Because I've been farming the Titanite demons, because I went after the ones in Sen's Fortress, I went after the one in the Catacombs, the one in right before Darkroot Garden from the Undead Parish side, went after that one. Here's a summoning sign for Solaire. That one between Andre the Blacksmith and Darkroot Garden, that Titanite demon is one of the couple in the game that gives you two demon Titanite when you drop him. Another one being the one we just fought in the church area. Because I have been aggressively going after all of these Titanite demons, I had 10 Titanite, which is just enough to upgrade my freshly minted Quelaag's Fury Sword to +10. Or I mean, sorry, +5. It only goes up to +5. Let me just deal with him real quick. The awesome thing about Quelaag's Fury Sword, by the way, the reason I wanted it so bad, is because not only is it fast, not only is it a dexterity-based weapon, it has a very unique property
well, not very unique. It is the property of all chaos weapons. It scales with the number of humanity you have banked. So I have 9 humanity. It scales up to 10 humanity. And all of the additional damage that it scales with from your stocked humanity turns into fire damage. So it's a very fast-hitting, heavy fire damage weapon. And I am going to go ahead and TP back to the bonfire real quick and refill my supply of Estus, and then we will tackle Ornstein Smough. And here we go. We're going to skip the appetizer and move right on to the main course. Look at the two of them being so badass. This is one of my favorite fights in the entire game. In fact, this is probably my favorite fight just for the gameplay aspect of it. I put Pinwheel on a pedestal because I really like his backstory, but the fight itself here I love. This is the type of fight that you struggle with, and you're constantly having to manage these two bosses, and you're dodging and narrowly avoiding attacks, and you're finding every opening and trying to pry that opening to take advantage of the situation, and the first time you come here, you die over and over, and then you finally win, and you just have this feeling of incredible satisfaction. It's great. When you fight other bosses, it's just another fight. When you fight Ornstein Smough, you go to war. I love this theme too, especially some of the calmer parts. The whole thing is pretty energetic, but there are a few parts that aren't quite as intense, and they've always just really stuck with me. And when it builds back up again, it really sells you on just how epic the fight is, as if the fight itself wasn't doing a good enough job of that already. Okay, so since you guys are sadistic, you voted that I should fight Super Ornstein. If you're not, that's the part I love. If you're not familiar with how this fight works, that means I am gonna kill Honey Boo Boo Smough here first, and then Ornstein will reset to full health and absorb Smough's power and gain a bunch of nasty new moves. This fight is widely considered to be the hardest fight in the entire game, and killing Smough first and fighting Super Ornstein is widely agreed upon to be the harder way of doing the fight. Here's the thing though, again, I love this fight. I think Super Ornstein is actually much easier than Smough too. Ornstein is weak to fire and Smough is weak to lightning. That is why I'm starting out with the lightning spear for this part of the fight. The other benefit to the spear is that you can block while attacking. It's really handy because you can get up close and personal with Smough, and because he takes so much of your screen up, usually when you do that, it can be hard to tell when Ornstein is going to attack you. So with the lightning spear, you're doing a lot more damage than normal to Smough because of his lightning weakness, and you're also covering offense and defense at the same time while going after him. So the trick to the first part of the fight is just that you need to keep them both in view. You can't get sandwiched here. You can't let yourself get blindsided. It's a really active fight too. They're combined, they're kind of aggressive, and they cover each other's weaknesses really, really well. But the thing that will get you worn down and killed here is not maintaining presence of mind and situational awareness. It might seem like the pressure is constantly on you, and that's true, so don't be afraid to take it very slowly and position yourself so that you can't get attacked by one of the two from behind. Ornstein is especially quick, so if you're focusing on Smough, only go in when you're aware of what Ornstein is up to. He can go clear across the room in a few seconds. I know I'm talking through the cutscene, but I have a lot to say about this boss, and there's no real dialogue here. So do not underestimate Ornstein's speed in the first phase of the fight.
patience and situational awareness, again, are crucial. They will make this fight way less of a headache. You'll notice I'm spending most of my time in the fight just switching. In phase 1, I was spending most of my time just switching targeting and turning the camera and circumnavigating the room so that Ornstein couldn't blindside me. Whoops. I was talking too much and not paying attention, and while I was locked on and circle strafing him, I couldn't figure out which direction to roll to get away from the lightning butt stomp, which is something he gets from Ornstein. I was doing a lot of that and just being patient so that Ornstein couldn't blindside me while I focused down Smough. That's why I think the first phase of the fight is actually by far the hardest. The damage goes way up when you're fighting either of them in their powered up forms when one of them dies, but it becomes easier because you only have to focus on one and you can dedicate a lot more of your attention on reading their tells and animations. Come on, Ornstein, bring it on. Stop chucking plasma at me. You're not Dr. Doom. You'll never be Dr. Doom. You're way too cool to be him. Yeah, that's why I think the first phase of the fight is the hardest part. There we go, read it properly that time. Ornstein's version of that lightning butt stomp has a much higher AoE, which is the sole reason why I think Super Ornstein is harder. People hate Super Ornstein because of the Impale attack, which he has tried to do a few times, where he lights his spear up, he holds it back a little bit, and then he jabs you with it, with the tip. Just the tip. And he lifts you into the air and pulses electricity through you. People struggle with that move because it's very hard to avoid, and I don't think it's blockable. I'm not entirely sure about that. Here's the trick, though. Hug his legs, and when he telegraphs the grab, move or roll towards the leg on your right or his left. You won't ever get hit by it again. He's also got another really nasty one that could catch you off guard sometimes, where he slams the spear down and then waits a second and scoops it back up like Shredder in the first live-action Turtles movie. You just have to be watching for that. And rolling. I'm pretty sure you can also avoid that by being between his legs, and it's blockable too. It just eats up a ton of stamina. But yeah, that is how you do Super Ornstein, the Super Ornstein version of the fight. Woo, I am a little bit exhausted. I still have so much to say about this boss. Yeah, if you're doing Super Ornstein, just stick right between his legs. Watch for when he jumps into the air to do the lightning butt stomp and roll backwards. For the most part, though, you shouldn't have any trouble with that stuff. Now, I just want to survey the ruins of this epic war I just had against this boss. Even though I've gotten pretty good at doing this fight, and that didn't look like it was the hardest boss in the game, it is still an immense amount of fun to do that. It's a pleasure every time I fight them. I also demonstrate a really bad habit of mine that I've been demonstrating throughout this whole playthrough while I was fighting. I will stop to drink. I'll chug that Gatorade out in the open, even when I know it's not safe to do it. Just as soon as there's a pause, and it's sometimes when I don't even need to, I just see a pause in the action and go for the Gatorade.
Thou hast journeyed far and overcome much, chosen undead. Come hither, child. O chosen undead, I am Guinevere, daughter of Lord Gwyn and Queen of Sunlight. Since the day Father his wounded obscureth, I have awaited thee. I bequeath the Lord vessel to thee. And beseech thee, succeed Lord Gwyn, and inheriteth the fire of our world. Thou shalt endeth this eternal twilight, and avert further undead sacrifices.
Do as you command, booby princess. So, that was Guinevere, the goddess of fertility and the daughter of Gwyn. But that wasn't really Guinevere. You see, I could have shot her with an arrow, and she would have vanished, and Anor Londo would have turned dark. She is an illusion created by her brother Gwendolyn. The sunlight in Anor Londo is also an illusion. Destroying Guinevere takes away all the sunlight and turns Anor Londo dark. He was still clinging to the illusion of his family's former prosperity, and he creates all of these illusions. By the way, a lot of other things here are illusory. And turning Anor Londo dark also changes the landscape of enemies you have to fight here. Oh, I am a dipshit. Now that I've said that, it's something I was talking about last episode just occurred to me. I was wondering if Tarkus is the only Baronite Knight to have completed the journey through Sen's Fortress and made it here, then why are all these gigantic Baronite Knights here? It's because they're illusory. These knights all disappear when you're in Dark Anor Londo. I totally forgot about that. Shit. So yeah, they're all illusions. Ornstein and Smough were left behind to guard the Lord Vessel against the unworthy, which kind of conflicts with Gwendolyn's whole plan to use you to place the Lord Vessel and open the kiln of the First Flame. Oh, right. Kind of conflicts with his whole plan, but I guess he just sets them up as a test to see if you're actually capable. The yellow light there is there because I have not placed the Lord Vessel there yet, so I will be right back. I'm gonna go place the Lord Vessel so we can continue doing what I was about to do. 1 second, everyone. Okay, we are back here in Firelink Shrine. I'm gonna go talk to Kingseeker Framp. Unfortunately, going through Framp to place the Lord Vessel means I won't be able to talk to Darkstalker Koth, but that's okay.
Heavens, you have done it. You have retrieved the Lord Vessel. After 1,000 years, it is you. It is really you.
Calm down there, buddy. It's a little evil.
Forgive me. I really should calm down. Now, let us take that vessel on a journey. I assume that you are ready. Now, be still. This is the Firelink Chamber for the successor of Lord Gwyn. Now, place the Lord Vessel on the altar.
What are those? Are they his ears? Are they his mustache? Are they like gigantic floppy jowls? Now that the Lord Vessel has been placed, all of those yellow fog walls have been removed. The 3 fog walls you saw get removed were the ones blocking away to the bosses that hold the remaining Lord Souls. Those bosses again are the Bed of Chaos, located deep within Lost Izalith. We have to go through the Demon Ruins to get there. Another one is just up here, leading to the Duke's Archive, which I couldn't pass just a moment ago, which leads to Seath the Scaleless. The third and final one was the one blocking the way to Gravelord Nito, who you have to go through the Tomb of Giants to get to. There is not a golden wall blocking you off from fighting the 4 Kings, though, because you need a special item to access the 4 Kings boss room. You need a ring that you can get off of Sif, and I'm not going to be doing Sif until after this. And what this is will remain a mystery until probably right before the end of the episode. But again, if you're familiar with the game, you already know what I'm doing. And I'll give you a hint, I'm not about to go do Seath, though I am heading up to the Duke's Archives for just a moment to get something particularly special. While that time goes on, instead of fighting stupid old mecha boars, oh, gotta make sure he doesn't catch up to me first. These mecha boars, by the way, are much, much more formidable than the ones you fight early in the game, or the ones that you encounter early in the game, the ones that are near the Undead Parish. Just wave goodbye to them. See you guys. See you next time. While I'm going out of my way to do this, I didn't get to talk about the lore behind Ornstein and Smough, which is pretty interesting. Ornstein, or Ornstein, I keep switching between the two pronunciations. Ornstein was one of Gwyn's foremost trusted knights, along with Hawkeye Go, Artorias, and Lord Blade Kieran. Ornstein is renowned for being not only strong and honorable, but of course he's also a dragon slayer, right in the title. We saw the heads of dragons that he has killed mounted in that room that I was talking about, that shortcut room, just outside the main hall. Like the other knights, he is associated with an animal. His sign is the lion, and he drops the Leo ring. He dropped the Leo ring, I should say, which increases the damage of counter hits by 40%. Also, by killing Ornstein last, we have access to buy his armor from Domhnall of Xena. That way, doing the fight that way also gets you access to his soul, which you can use to form his Dragon Slayer Spear, which is a good hybrid weapon if you're doing a Faith and something else build. Like I think Faith and Strength. I think it scales with Faith, Strength, and Dex, by the way. If you go the opposite route and you kill Smough first, and you fight Super Smough, you get to buy Smough's armor, and you get his soul, which can be used to make his hammer. And one more quick fun fact about Smough. Smough could not be a knight because he used his hammer like a pestle and ground his victims' bones up and ate them. Smough was an executioner. The boars are still there in my way, so I can't light that bonfire and warp back. By the way, that's the other cool thing about the Lord Vessel, is the Lord Vessel allows us to fast travel, finally. Alright. Enough burying the lead. We're gonna start the DLC area of the game, the Prepare to Die Edition Artorias the Abyss Walker content. So here's how you get to the DLC. You start out by killing the Hydra, which I took care of a few episodes back if you remember. That's the trigger for the Golden Golem back here to spawn. If it does not spawn for you, exit and reload the game or come back later. You kill that Golden Golem to free Dusk of Ulasil. After you defeat Ornstein and Smough and get the Lord Vessel, you place it below Firelink Shrine, and that causes the yellow fog in front of the Duke's Archives to vanish. You go to the start of Duke's Archives, just up the elevator, kill the blue golem up there on the right, and you should get a broken pendant from him if you did the previous steps, and you should get a broken pendant from him if you did the previous steps. Head back up here where you initially rescued Dusk, and this very eerie black portal will be waiting. That sinewy black hand grabs you and pulls you hundreds of years into the past to reclaim the broken half of the pendant, which will become very important very soon. And he grabs you and pulls you back here, hundreds of years into the past again, into Ulasil. Ulasil before it was consumed by the Abyss and before it fell to ruins. Another fun fact about Ulasil: all this exploration we've done in Darkroot Garden and Darkroot Basin, this area, this forest that we've been exploring, is what is left over of Ulasil. It is the ruins of Ulasil. And right off the bat in the DLC content, we are beginning with a boss fight. Oh, also, should have mentioned, while I was off screen, I went ahead and bought a bit of armor that I just got access to. I bought Ornstein's helmet and his chest piece. So as for the Sanctuary Guardian boss fight, it's actually a pretty fun boss fight. I like this fight a lot. It's a good way to start the content too. The Sanctuary Guardian
I think kind of looks like a cross between Scorponok and what was the other one? One of the first Beast Wars users? Is that what they were called? The hybrid ones? Silverbolt or Silverwing and Scorponok. Anyway, it's an interesting fight because he is both very fast and fairly aggressive, and he can output a decent amount of damage pretty quick. Despite that, though, he's not all that tough. He actually has a bunch of ranged lightning attacks, 2 of which take place on the ground. He will either do this attack, which is just a volley of 4 lightning attacks that come out pretty quick. They travel pretty quick. That just requires constant rolling. The other ground ranged attack he has is the big lightning attack, which does a lot more damage in 1 volley. Just as easy a dodge, though. Actually easier because it doesn't require as much stamina. It doesn't require constant avoidance. He also has... Oh, forgot about the tail whip, actually. The tail whip, I believe, can poison you. And he also has this little backwards facing horse kick if you stay directly behind him too long. The reason that he's not all that tough is because his attacks are very, very heavily telegraphed. It's a fight that does require a lot of moving and a lot of rolling around, but it's not too bad. And his melee attacks, you can see, they don't have a ton of range. You can actually backpedal out of range for most of them, and even when he's doing his 4-hit combo in melee range, he usually can't hit you when you're backpedaling. Plus, extremely easy to block, not a lot of stamina taken out of your stamina gauge when he attacks. So just avoid him, block him, do whatever you want. And then his ranged attacks in the air, you just have to react pretty quick, and you have to know where to roll. And it's usually the opposite side of the screen that he's on, so when he's flying off to the right side, dodge to the left, and when he's going right overhead of you, just dodge backwards, dodge roll backwards. And it's not too much of a chaotic fight, even though he spends a lot of time attacking. He has these really long wind-ups, so he also spends a lot of time alternating between melee and range, so he has a hard time actually putting that much pressure on you, even though he's kind of aggressive, which seems counterintuitive, but you can see what I'm talking about. Also, as you can see, he is one of the bosses whose tail you can cut off, and this fight is taking a lot longer, this fight is taking a lot longer because I was going after the tail. He has one surefire attack that leaves him vulnerable long enough where you can get at least one good swipe in at the tail uninterrupted. Plus, the other nice thing about that attack where he flies directly at you, where he charges you in the air, the other nice thing aside from how long he pauses after he performs the attack, giving you that opening, his tail is also already going to be facing you, so you just run straight back and you usually can hit it at least once. And the weapon you get that I really wanted his tail for, because again, this is Herbert Vanillaman, Spelunky Hero. He gives you another whip, a really good whip at that. So maybe I'll bust that out, maybe I'll upgrade that a bit, I don't know, we'll see. Yeah, so also, I forgot to mention, he's also weak to bleed, so if you have, say, the Life Hunt Scythe or Priscilla's Dagger, you can actually do a whole hell of a lot of damage to him. But that is the way the fight goes. Not too bad of a fight. Did have some issues early on with dodging that lightning, but let's show off Ornstein's helm real quick. Next episode, we will get into the nitty-gritty, talking about the Abyss, about Artorias, about Ulasil, about the Pendant, which is a very fun topic. But until then, thank you guys for watching. Take it easy. Have a good one.